Hey, it's Lauren here, wanting to talk to you today about what it's like writing a book. Because I reckon it's a really interesting process, and I thought if I think it's interesting, then maybe you'll think it's interesting as well. Especially when it's a sex book, a book about female sexuality, which is still so taboo. Like the fact that you're here means that you've probably had to undo a few layers or maybe lots of layers of conditioning to get here to just watch this. I mean, I get it. I totally get it. So, writing a book about sex and even reading a book about sex, oh, we're on edgy terrain here. So, I just want to take you back to the beginning of Permission. It was the 1st of September 2017, and I sat at one of my local cafes and just saw a few months before that I'd written a word in my notebook on a blank page, and it simply said permission. And that's it. I didn't write anything under it. It was in that moment that I'd actually written the word. It was just like I'll come back to this one day. There's something there. Don't know what it is. I'll just write it down. And just going through, I was just like, oh, there's my book. That's it. There's my book. She's sitting there. She's just waiting for me. And I was so ready to write her. I'd been through a lot and I had a lot of space in regards to client load. And I just thought, let's get started. And once I started to write, and there's a lot that didn't make the cut. Once I started to write, I just could see the chapters and the themes of Permission becoming very, very clear. And I was just drawn, like I said, I didn't have many clients. I was just drawn to just going to different cafes around Brisbane and writing on trains in my notebook and just mixing it up with being at the computer, writing in my notebook and just going, let's just see where all of this goes. But honestly, it felt good. Every single step of this process has felt good. And if you're curious about writing a book and you haven't yet done it, then my one thing is, I'm not really experienced. I'm no Stephen King or J.K. Rowling, but one thing is that I really noticed that there was no resistance. There was no, I have to sit down and do this. There was no, I have to edit it right now. I needed to do those things, but I really enjoyed it, and I really felt this calling to sit down and write it. It wasn't out of obligation and it wasn't a have to or a must. So I mean, first of all, the idea needs to be so clear and feel so present for you. And so, yes, this is what I've got to share with people, or this is a story that must be told. And that felt really clear for me throughout writing Permission. So I gave myself some gaps in the writing process. I gave myself some space. I wasn't writing it all the time, but I did get a good chunk done between September 2017 and then Christmas 2017. And one day I felt like just driven to just go look at the author of the website of an author that I really love, and just noticed that she had an editing service. I was like, oh. I looked at it and just went, oh, this is the person that I want to edit my book, because I knew I needed an editor. There was no way I was going to have my book be unstructured, only my own input. I just thought that's going to get messy. It's not going to be clear to other people. I needed someone impartial to step in and to share with me, someone experienced as well, to share with me, what works and what has flow and what needs to stay and what needs to go. And Lisa Lister was that person for me. So there was a bit of emailing back and forth, I'll be honest, over about 2 months. And I was like, at one stage I was like, I really want this to happen, but I knew I couldn't push it. I knew it had to feel good for Lisa to really devote her time to editing another woman's book. And when the time was right and I was ready for that external input, we jumped on a call together. It was a yes for both of us, and yeah, she became my dream editor for Permission. And she was a wonderful choice because, like I said, not only has she has she authored lots of books as an actual author and as a ghostwriter as well. But she's done the self-publishing process, and she's been with Hay House, which is it's the largest independent publishers in the world. So I really trusted her expertise, the fact that she worked in women's work as well. I knew her judgments and taboos weren't gonna, come out into the editing process. I knew that she was good with all of that, and that she could really help me find my voice so that I could help other women find their voice through permission. So that really was a dream come true, and I'm really, really grateful for it. So I submitted the first draft, what we call the shitty first draft. I submitted that, I think it was around March, 1st of March this year, 2018. And about then, I think it was at about 43,000 words, so about that. Bounced it to Lisa. She gave me content edit notes, and that gave me license to write more content and to rejig a few pieces. And I gave it back to her again, I think within within 2 months, and got it back. And I'd ended up adding about 10,000 words. That what was going to be the second draft, and got it back again, and ended up adding, I think, another 8,000 or so words, just to really, really edit her and get her in tip-top shape. Lisa then looked at her one last time and just did all the really little bits. And one of the edits had just tons and tons of tracking changes. And I opened up the document, and I had a big pot of tea, and it was nighttime. Kids were in bed, and I just went, holy shit, I've got so much work to do. But if anyone who's experienced track changes, you know that sometimes just going, accept, means that you get a lot of that clutter away. But at first it was just like, oh my gosh, and I just went, this isn't personal. I've hired her because I want this book to be the best version it can be. So so that was that part was testing, but I just stepped back for a moment and then stepped back into the document, the manuscript, and kept working with it. So at each point, I just knew that I had to feel good doing it. I never ever wanted to be sitting there like that going, I have to work on the book. I just wanted it to be, all right, I'm feeling fresh. I want to go step back into writing permissions. So at first, there wasn't a lot of my own stories in it, because I was holding a belief that it wasn't safe for me to share my stories, or that, and that my stories weren't really interesting. Who wants to hear my stories? A bit of that going on. So Lisa actually gave me permission to let my inner storyteller out. And now that I've accessed her, just doing some little notes for another book, I can already see that it's so story dominated, because I'm comfortable with that now. I'm going to share a bit of woo-woo stuff with you as well. I like a little bit of magic here and there. I think magic is, it's fun, it's healthy, and it's exciting. And I really called in my own favourite writers and artists, female artists, alive and dead, to come along with me for this journey, because writing is a really isolating process, and I enjoyed that, and then there'd be edges where I was just over it, and it's a strange working on such a big project and not having anyone bar one person see what you're doing, and yeah, add all of that. So I called in my favourite writer, Sylvia Plath, who's passed. I called her into this process, and when I saw the woman that I see for spiritual healing, who has clairvoyant talents, she said to me, oh, there's an older woman there next to you. She's passed, but she's there with you. She passed a while ago. She's a writer. Her writing's very, very rich. Yes, very rich. And I just started bawling my eyes out, because I knew it was Sylvia Plath, who'd who was walking alongside me and comforting me and helping the words to flow in all of that process. So that's just a little bit of permission trivia there for you, and that's why I credit her in the acknowledgements. So it never hurts to just call, even if it feels a bit silly, call in the strength that you need, call in the creativity that you need for your own pursuits, because it just doesn't hurt. There's no harm in doing it. When I flick through this book, I'm going to say another thing about the writing process is a lot of it's just something that's going through you. It's not necessarily you constructing every single word and trying to make it perfect and you saying, this is exactly what I want to say. A lot of this, when I flick through it, I just go, I don't remember writing that. I don't remember. It really felt like I was a channel for a lot of the content of this book, and that it was just a message that was, I'm just delivering this message to women. I'm living it. The book certainly taught me to live and to live in alignment with what I'm preaching in here. But on a much bigger note, it was just like this is coming through me so that all of these women, all these folk, all these people can benefit. And I just think that that's a really, really beautiful thing. So the writing process really needs to be about what you feel compelled to share, what you can no longer keep to yourself, what it is that you wish that you knew, what it is that you wish that someone had said to you. And for me, that's permission in a nutshell. I wish I got this book. I'm trying to cry. I wish I got this book 7+ years ago to say, hey, you don't need to do all that stuff. You're pretty good as you are. Just find safety in yourself. Trust yourself. Come inwards. Be in control. Be choosy. Be all those love vanilla. All of those chapter titles. Take your time. Don't have to use products. All of that, I wish someone had said that to me 7 years ago. So now you don't have to do all the stuff that I've done. You can just read this book and enjoy it and let me know what really, really resonates for you. But I'll definitely write another one. I loved this process, loved every single minute of it, even the self-publishing part where I was so anxious about uploading it and is it all going to work and is it all going to be okay? And that was a real test, but hey, we're here and it's a real physical book. So take the leap. It's a bit of an investment in love and attention, presence, energy, money as well. Just on the note of money, because I love talking about money and I find it a very interesting form of energy that isn't really going anywhere. The book I probably invested more than $5,000 in getting this out there, and that is very, very standard, very standard. So just think too, you need a graphic designer, you need to have a copy editor who's the person that puts it into book format. You need an editor, you really need an editor, and that's a good investment. So all of that, that's probably about $5,000. And when I looked it up, it was just like, publishing a book is usually between, 5, 6, 7,000 and 15, depending on how fancy you want to go and whether you want to use like marketing services, communications agency to get the word out there about your book. So totally normal to invest, and I've just thought every step of the way this is a fucking amazing investment so that this can be out there and in your hands. Thanks for watching this. If you have any questions about the writing process or even about permission, then feel free to leave them in the comments below this blog, and I'll see you for more new content after I've had a really good rest from putting permission out there into the world. Thanks for watching. Bye now.